How's it going? It's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack Sport Rider SE Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on our 2022 Ford Edge. The Sport Rider SE is popular because it has a lot going for it as far as capacity. It's able to support 80 pounds per bike. It's going to be a platform style bike rack, so it's going to hold the bike up primarily by the tray and these cradles here. Primary point of contact holding onto your bike is going to be these frame clamps here, frame hooks rather, on the center mast. You do have two straps, one at the front and one at the back tire too, so you get a lot of stability and security. And it's going to be good for e-bike purposes, heavy mountain bikes, things like that. But you don't want to use it for your carbon frame bikes because it could potentially damage your frame while you're driving. First thing we're going to show off is the ability to tilt the rack away with the bikes loaded up. To do that, we're first going to have to pull this pin and clip. So we'll start with this pin here on this side. And you might have to move the rack a little bit to pull the pin out completely. And now you have to pull just this top lever here. And the rack will tilt down. It's not super aggressive, but for the case of the Ford Edge here, we do get enough room, both from the pedals and the handlebars, to open the hatch up fully. Good amount of room back here now. If I want to, I could sit down, change my shoes before or after my ride, and now would be the time to get anything out of the back that I might need for that ride. And to tilt it back up, I'll go from the center mast here. It'll click into place, so I don't have to keep it held up while I put this pin and clip back in. But from here, we're going to get our bike removed. So first thing we're going to do is get this back strap off. Just press the button here in the back, pull the strap all the way through. I like to sort of tuck the straps down under the cradles on the other side, or just rotate them around so they're out of the way of the tire. Get this front strap now. As you can see on both of the straps, there's this pad here to protect your tire. Just a little bit of extra security. Same thing, just kind of try to get this strap out of the way. And now I'll start with these hooks here on the center mast. They do have lock cores on them, so if you want to lock those up, you'll be able to secure your bike to the rack. You won't be able to press those buttons and get the hooks up. Unfortunately, you do not have the ability to completely remove the hooks, so if you do have a really heavy 80, 70, 60 pound bike on here and you want to try to get it around this center mast, that can be a little bit annoying, which is one of the foremost drawbacks about using this rack. But in our case, I'll just kind of try to wiggle it around. And now we can get our bike removed. And you can take a closer look at the trays and the cradles and how we're going to be supporting our bike. You'll notice that the cradles are more so hoops, and they're designed in a way that allows us to get a 5-inch tire, 5-inch wide tire on here right out of the gate, as well as those long straps. As you can see here, we can loosen up this hand knob and we can slide the hoops up and down the tray to accommodate different wheelbases. In this case, up to 60 inches, which is quite a large wheelbase. We'll put these straps back, and we can get the center mast folded down just to condense things even further. To do that, we're going to have to come to this pin here in the middle. There's a notch on there that you're going to have to line up the pin to. You'll see when I pull it out that there's just this little crop here that sticks out. You're going to have to line that up both when you're pulling it out and when we're replacing it here at the top. Line it up, slide it in just like that. Now I can't pull it out unless I line it up again. And from here, we'll get a couple of measurements to see what it's like to live with this on your vehicle. Starting first with how much we're going to be adding onto the back from the bumper to the furthest point out. It's going to be about 26.5 inches, so relatively compact for having the wheelbase and the weight capacity that it does. As far as ground clearance goes, from the ground to this point right here, it's going to be about 18.25, and as high as you're going to have to lift those heavy bikes up, that's going to be closer to around 20 inches. So first number you're going to want to keep in mind as far as ground clearance, going up hills or over curbs, and the second number is, can I lift an 80, 70, 60 pound bike as high as these cradles are? But another nice feature about this rack is that we do have the ability to fold it up towards the vehicle as well. This time we don't need to pull that pin. You just need to pull this top one and then the bottom lever as well. You hear it click into place again, and now it's in the folded up position. We'll get some more measurements to see how much space we've saved. Now from the bumper to the furthest point out, it's going to be just about 12 inches, so about a foot. Overall, it might move up and down just a little bit, but not close enough that it's going to make contact. That closest point there is going to be just over 2 inches, so we still have a good amount of room there. I'm not going to be worried about that making contact with the back of the vehicle. Living with this on the back of your car in this position is kind of up to you. So where your bike sits, if you don't want them making contact with one another, your cradles might be a little bit wide. As you see here on the side, ours does stick out pretty wide, maybe even past the overall width of the vehicle. It's well within the mirrors though, so that's not going to be a huge issue, and it's also going to depend on where you put those. But our license plate is going to be fully visible. Backup camera, kind of the same thing. Tons of room to see both of those. Doesn't go quite tall enough to interfere with our taillights, and it comes nowhere near our rear window. So overall, for all of its capacities, again, it is relatively compact. Coming down now, we can take a closer look at the shank and how it fits into the receiver. So the rack does use a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. It's held in place by this pin with the lock there that's going to be key to those frame hook locks we talked about earlier. It's got a welded collar on there so you know exactly where to line it up. And it's all secured by this anti-rattle handle here in the back to make sure when you tighten it up, you leave it horizontal or in a position where it's not diminishing your ground clearance. So overall, the Hollywood Rack Sport Rider SE is really well built. It's really robust. The ability to get 80 pounds onto this bike rack per bike is a lot. If you do need this for your e-bike purposes and you want something that's a little bit easier to work with, comes with a ramp. You might want to check out, if you like Hollywood racks, something like the Destination E. It has a ramp that's not integrated onto the rack, but it is included, and you can, as long as you remember to bring that, load it up onto one of the cradles on either side and unload and load your heavy e-bikes a little bit easier. But if you don't mind lifting your bikes up to the height that this is going to be sitting at, it is a really nice option for those heavier, larger bikes. This again was just a quick look at the Hollywood Rack Sport Rider SE and how it fits on our 2022 Ford Edge.